Ethics is concerned with the rights and wrongs of something. Is an action morally acceptable or not? The growth of technology has a big impact in this regard. Computing devices have a negative impact on the environment. The manufacturing and use of technology consumes a massive amount of resources, many of which are not renewable and have harmful byproducts that will damage the environment. The biggest concerns of manufacturing technology are in the waste generated during the creation process. These concerns can include sourcing raw materials, some of which are non-renewable, such as copper used in chips and wires, the electricity and gas required to power assembly lines which produce harmful emissions, the environmental impacts of fuel for the transport of IT systems for distribution, and the materials required for packaging which may not be recyclable. The use of devices can be damaging too, as using devices will require electricity. This electricity will largely come from non-renewable sources and will contribute to air pollution. A particular issue is the amount of wasted electricity from leaving computers on when not in use. It's estimated that £90 million is wasted by UK companies each year by leaving computers turned on when not in use. Have you ever thought about what happens to the old technology that you throw out when it breaks or becomes outdated? Well, most of it ends up in the landfill, and every year it is increasing. This is an especially large issue with the growth of mobile and wearable technologies, which we tend to keep for much shorter periods of time before throwing them out and replacing with the latest tech. In fact, somewhere between 20 and 50 million tons of technology are thrown out every year. We call this techno-trash or e-waste, and it makes up about 5% of waste every year. Much of this technology is recyclable or could be donated and reused, but currently this is not being done regularly enough. Much of this landfill waste will be left to rot or incinerated, which will cause pollution. Our data is being used all the time by businesses and even governments. Websites like Facebook scoop up personal information to produce massive sets of data, often called big data, which can be analysed to spot patterns and trends. This can then be used for things like targeted advertising and not just of products. Politicians use this information to target you with specific adverts to influence your voting, such as was made famous in the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Individuals value their own privacy though, and often do not like it when businesses, governments and security services have too much access to our data. The government often argues that they need to infringe on some of our privacy to protect us from crime and terrorism. Privacy is a big issue that has arisen with the growth of the use of IT systems, particularly the World Wide Web. We share huge quantities of private information online, such as with social networking websites. These sites don't necessarily keep that data private to your friends on the site either. It may be viewable by anyone. We often use mobile and wearable technologies that record and share all kinds of data on us, such as our location or perhaps even medical information like our heart rate. This data might be uploaded to a server to allow us to track our fitness, but could be accessed by hackers or misused by the business storing it. In fact, using your mobile phone and Wi-Fi, retailers are tracking you as you move through their store. They might use this data to see how customers make use of the store, but could be using it for other reasons, and the data could be kept without proper security. The issue of privacy could be even greater with computer-based implants, where a device is actually implanted into our bodies. For example, in the future, microchip implants could be used to make payments, monitor our health, or provide personal identification information. However, where would this data be stored? Who would be able to scan and view the data on our chip? This could be used by law enforcement and the government to protect us, but could be abused and infringe on our freedoms. Would you be happy if every police officer walking past you could automatically scan you and receive your personal and medical information and legal record? Organisations have both an ethical and legal responsibility to protect individuals' data. Most businesses handle huge quantities of private and personal data belonging to individuals. This includes things like their name, address, date of birth, national insurance number, and bank details. If these were to fall into the wrong hands, then this could be disastrous for those individuals. Companies will often even store private data on cloud storage for convenience. Cloud storage services can be hacked though, which could lead to this data being released to the public or misused for bank and identity fraud. Another technology that has affected the privacy of data is wireless networking. Wireless networking has become commonplace, with wireless networks available to the public in most cafes and restaurants. However, wireless networks are often insecure, especially open networks that aren't encrypted. Many of these public Wi-Fi hotspots are unencrypted for the convenience of customers. That means all their customer data is put at serious risk, as it would be very easy for a malicious user to steal this data. So, computing devices have a negative impact on the environment. The manufacturing, delivery, and use of computer devices causes pollution from the burning of fossil fuels for electricity and consumes valuable non-renewable resources. Old computing devices make up a large part of modern landfill waste, which we call techno-trash or e-waste. Modern computer systems are storing a huge amount of personal data for analysis purposes, to target advertising and more. This raises privacy concerns over whether the data might be used without our permission. It also raises data protection issues over whether that data is handled responsibly and in a way that doesn't cause us harm.